It's a pleasure for me to welcome Cheuk to our stage. Cheuk has participated in PyCon UK for several years, I think.
No, it's my second year.
It feels like you've been here many times.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, and that's because Cheuk has participated in a very active way and has given a lot in workshops. She's been on the stage. She has her unique style, which also stands out and makes her contributions memorable. And she's very committed to the Python open source community and to to the Python open source community and to the people in it. And memorably came to Namibia this year in February to take part in PyCon Namibia and brought a great deal with her. So it's really nice to have you bringing something to us here on stage. Please welcome Cheuk.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I will talk a lot about what's happening in the community in this talk, obviously, because it's about diversity. And I'm so glad that being, still not very, not ideal. I'm still, kind of minority in the community at the moment. But I'm already having some good time. Thanks for people making an effort. And I'm trying to talk through this topic so we could, maybe initiate some thoughts about, do we have a diversity problem and how we can tackle it? So a little bit about me. So I've been organizing meetups in London, London Python Sprint, which promote contributing to open source, AI Club for gender minorities. I'm doing it with my other co-organizers that we try to give it a safe space for people who are gender minorities in the community to know each other and support each other. And also this year I help in the programming committee in EuroPython. I also contribute to open source project. If you haven't talked to me, I have stickers to give away. I'm the creator of Pick and Mix, and I would love to give away the stickers. And also I started volunteering for the DISC committee in NumFocus. So it's also about diversity. So all of these started months ago when I see there is a blog post about why women are flourishing in our community but lagging in Python. Being somebody who do data science, who was using R but switched to using Python and being so involved in the Python community, and a woman as well. I identify myself as a woman. That this really draws my attention and wonder, is it true? What happened? So in this article, it says that, well, we have a very strong community. We have 6 times more users compared to our community. But the population of PyLadies, well, it's bigger than the Our Ladies, but it's only 1.25 times bigger. It's not proportional to the amounts of users. So why? And also for contributors, we have a lot of amazing R library that it's like the libraries in Python. It's open source. You can download them and use them. But for contributors, there's like 4 times more female contributors than Python. Is it easier in R? I don't think so. In my opinion, from my experiences, I don't think so. But and also for the network, Our Ladies everywhere. There's like 120 chapters in 40 countries. But for PyLadies, I'm lucky that I'm in London. We have a PyLadies London, but it's still lagging. So yeah. So in the article, there's actually some, trying to find a reason. There's some studies about looking at the numbers to see what happened, and this may be the reason. And we have to look at where the users coming from, because we are looking at the numbers and proportion of users. So where do they come from? Is it because the pipeline that, getting new users is a bit unbalanced. So you can see that in general, the disciplines like statistics and natural science or journalism and all these, there's the proportion of women actually is greater. For example, statistics, it says that there's like 44% women graduating in that discipline. But in computer science, it's only 19%. These may be the case mostly in the Western countries. It may be different in other countries and cultures, but I think this is mainly talking about the US and maybe the UK as well. And also, we can see that our community, there's like more of these academics. They're using R as a research tool. So if you talk to some statisticians or if you go to some statistics society, they would think that R is their best tool in doing their research. But I want to say that Python can do a lot of things as well. I am a data scientist. I love using Python. But why you choose R? And yeah, and also like natural science as well. And also because Python is a very broad language. It's not designed for just one or two tasks. It's not designed just for data science. Before data science was popular, it's already a very popular language in doing software development, building, Django have been, popular for a long time. People use it to do different engineering stuff. So yes, a lot of computer science graduate, they would not just like on top of, they may learn they may learn C++ or Java. They may also, learn Python during their study. So it naturally become their, in their toolbox to be the language that they would use when they, work in the industry. So that may be the problem. Also, I see another blog post which was circulating in the DISC mailing list. Is somebody do some studies about the PyData leadership. Here's, I think specifically is about those projects that is supported by non-focus, like the leadership in those projects. Is there inequality? So this is the statistic. It was done last year. So you can see that this graph, how to look at it is, if it got a lower score, it means that it's better, it's more diverse. And if it's got a high score, it means that it's very unique and narrow in the diversity. So you can see that projects like Anthrax, projects like Open Journals, you can already tell from the name that it's about journalism, and R Open Science, so R again. They are the more diverse projects, and this could be a lot of the contributors or maintainers. They are not just from one group of people. For example, they're not just male, they may be like male and female, or maybe they're from different countries, like that. Okay, so if you look at the other side of the spectrum, projects that need to work harder will be NumPy, PyMC3. They are more mathematical and technical library that is very complicated. So yeah, so maybe that kind of make new contributor difficult to join in. So yeah. So in that blog post, it's also talk about active and passive diversity problems. So what the difference is, active problem means that there are people in the community, usually the people who can influence, like for example leaders or people who have a lot of power in the community. They are quite toxic. So that's what makes it prevent the equilibrium, like equality of the society. Luckily, I think it's not happening here. You can, if you have been here, for the third day, you can see that here in PyCon UK, people are lovely. We are not. I don't see any toxic people yet, so it's good. So maybe the problem we have is a passive problem, which means that it's naturally there is already a bias, and then that means that if we do nothing, even though we are super nice and lovely, but we don't work hard on bringing the diversity, then it would just be like this. It would just be, imbalanced, because maybe there are a lot of, computer science students will be male, and so it's naturally male-dominated. So, so it may be the passive problem, and which means that if we do nothing, it will still be like this, and which may not be what we want, may not be very healthy for the community. So that's why we have to work actively to change it. So those that I talked about before is from articles and blog posts that I've seen online, but I want to see myself what's going on. So I try to analyze my experience. So as Danielle said when he introduced me, I have been very involved in the community. I've been to a lot of conferences last year. So I would like to check the conference that I've been to, which are all lovely. Do they have an issue in the gender ratio? Like, the most obvious is when you go to the toilet. Not all toilets are, gender-neutral toilet. So usually there will be a toilet there will be a lot of guys queuing up during a conference break, and there will be a female toilet that I can nicely walk in, and it will be, almost empty, which is well, it's nice in some way, but not nice in some way. So yeah. But it's difficult to count how many people going inside a toilet, and it's not a very good measure. And yeah, it's a toilet talk again, but anyway. So yeah, maybe there is a better way for me to do some counting. So I go through all the video recordings. So a lot of conference is very nice now. That is, all the talks are recorded, so you can go back if you miss a talk. So it's great. So I go back and then check all the YouTube channels and check through all the videos of all the talks, which take me quite some time, and then try to count maybe the gender of the speaker and try to put them in bucket. But it's difficult because gender actually is a spectrum. They're traditionally they're male and female, but we also have people who are non-binary and gender minorities. So and sometimes, making a judgment of people's gender is rude. So, so I try my best. I would try to maybe pay attention to the pronoun when the speaker was introduced to determine is it a male or a female or non-binary person. But to be honest, I have to admit it's not 100% accurate, because sometimes when the speaker was introduced, the pronoun was not used, and then the speaker didn't say explicitly what pronouns this person prefers. So, and also not all talks are recorded. So this is not 100% accurate, but please bear with me, and I think it will show an impression of what's happening. So this is the result. I hope it's not too small. So we have a lot of the conferences. You can see that at least 75% of the speakers are male, and the rest will be non-male. You can see, well, almost 4 speakers, like 3 of them will be male, except PyCon UK. I think they did a good job. So so yes, it's very imbalanced. And then I told you I was involved in EuroPython, and it's still not the best. I was in the programming committee as well, so I know the difficulty. I really appreciate the organizers. They're making efforts to make it more balanced, but it's still very difficult because a lot of the submissions, they may be, it's already male-dominated, and it's sometimes difficult to tell gender of a speaker when we look at the call for proposals. So yeah, I know it's really hard, and well done, PyCon UK. So, but yeah, again, I would love to challenge myself as well. There's a twist in the research that I've done, because most of the conferences that I've been are in Europe. Well, I live in London, so it's easy for me to travel to Europe. The furthest I go was PyCon Israel, but that's it. So because I realized that, because that was last year, so this year I went to Namibia, which is the furthest now, and I realized that there is actually a difference because gender diversity have a different definition in PyCon Namibia, because when I went there, the participant was 50-50. There isn't a lot of tag or stereotype of, oh, this is a male-dominated thing. No, it's quite balanced. And there's a lot of, very, ladies that are very smart and bright, and, well, they don't think that they are the minority. It's like, wow. And also, yesterday I have a chat with the other keynote speakers, and we talk about, actually, in some countries, in some cultures, software engineering is considered women's job. It's not like here we will think that, oh, usually a software engineer, then your mind will picture a guy who is maybe in a lumberjack shirt and and a jeans or a conference T-shirt. But yeah, it was like in other countries, it is a women's thing. So and also, it's difficult to look. It's easy to compare male and female, because naturally in the world, it's like almost 50-50, almost equal amounts of male and female in the world. But non-binary people, they are, naturally minority in the society, and it's very difficult to compare, because if we have not that many non-binary people in our community, is it because we are in a world that they are rare, or is it because we are not welcoming? So we have to really, to look at it deeper. So that was my research, but I think it's not very, it's just counting the speaker is not very deep. So I try to get more opinion from people. So if you pay attention to the Slack channel, I posted about a link to a survey that I have been collecting opinions. So actually it was started on the 8th of July when I first started giving a diversity talk, and I start asking my audiences to give me feedback, give me comment, tell me what I think. But unfortunately there's only 20 responses. So I will show you the link at the end, and I would post it again, but please let me know. I'm sure that it won't be the last time I talk about diversity in our community, so your opinion is important. So far, what do I get? I asked about a question, so how imbalanced you think in our community about different users group. I put it into 3 boxes, so there are junior users, there are senior users who maybe, the junior users maybe, I don't want to put some numbers in it, but from my perspective, it could be people less than maybe 2 to 3 years experience, and then senior people maybe 3 to 5 years, and then leadership will be people who are leading projects, who maybe are the core developers. So how imbalanced the gender is. So you can see that the higher it goes, then actually it's more imbalanced. So you can see that there may be a problem in leadership in the community, that we have to work harder to make the gender more equal or more diverse. Also, I want to see what's the most important thing in kind of making a conference more diverse. And then I'm quite surprised that people really do care about the gender of the speaker, like what the research that I did. They care about the gender of the keynote speaker or speaker, because maybe they see them as representing that group of people. Also, they think that having beginner workshops for gender minorities would help encouraging them. And others will be, giving financial aid for gender minorities, again, encouraging them. And also accessibility is like show that we care and then they're welcome. So I think, yeah, having the toilet talk every morning is actually quite good to make sure that everybody is safe here. I think it's important. So I collected opinions. You can type in your opinion, and so let me know. And I've seen some interesting points here. Again, a safe space is very important. And a diversity in topics, because one response said that he or she think that is quite, or they think that is sometimes very tacky, the topic of the talk, and then maybe some people, they are not that interested, they feel that they are not welcome and it's not a place for them. So having a diversity in topics is also very important. And atmosphere, I think you agree that it's very nice here. People who have been to a lot of conferences could feel that PyCon UK feels different from other conferences, and the atmosphere actually make people feel whether they're welcome or is it a very safe place to be. A code of conduct, very important. I think lots of the people, they don't look at the code of conduct, in detail. Like when you sign up for some web page, they would be having some term and condition. You just tick and without looking at it. But please check the code of conduct, because it's very important. It's a way of guarding to make sure everybody is safe. Because in the previous meetups and conference that I've been to a lot, I have one instance that I have to report because one person violated the code of conduct, and I noticed that. And yeah, but it's important because I think some behavior need to be you have to be careful. Some behavior may make someone feel uncomfortable, and it should be avoided. Again, echoing the previous question, the gender of the speaker is very important, and because it shows that the organizers care. I think being an organizer myself, I would really pay attention to that, and showing that you care about diversity is actually, people think that's important. So another question will be, do you agree we have active, passive problems in gender? And then most people think strongly agree that there's a passive problem, like what I feel, but still people think that there could be some active problems. So maybe they come across some toxic in the community, which I didn't notice. So it's an alarm. So yeah, we have to discuss more openly about how we could avoid those toxic behaviors. And then if there's a bias in gender, sadly, a lot of people think there is, and racial bias. I mainly talk about gender diversity because I am still a gender minority in the community, sadly, here in the Western world. But I'm also, I'm from Hong Kong. I am from Asia, so I am kind of like a minority here in the UK. But yeah, do we have a problem like racial, bias? And is the thing. So maybe after we look at gender diversity, maybe we have to also include other diversity issues that maybe we have to make it include more people, no matter how they identify themselves. So let me go through this quickly. And gender diversity in private community, and people think that in conference is very important. So maybe the conference is time that they exchange ideas, and then they they kind of interact with people, so they think it's important. Some other thoughts, I think that again, people are very aware, and then they think it's an everyday topic because they may come across the same gender inclusive issues, not just in community, but maybe in their workplace and things like that. Oh, this is surprising. Some reference, the jokes that we talk about is like people will think that they are for male, they are not the right community, but well, I mean, traditionally, of course, Python is, named after Monty Python. I don't think is really like mainly for male, but there's a lot of because the demographic is there's a lot of male, so maybe the interest will be biased as well. But I'm glad that we have a lot of people talk about crocheting and knitting in licensing talks. So yeah, well, I think we just need to have more people to voice out different opinions. Yeah. So yeah, so diversity in topics is important. So the rest of the time, I would love to compare a little bit about the diversity problem in theater and diversity problem in the community, because I love theater. I'm a theater goer. There is a different diversity problem in theater, and then they're working really hard to make a difference, and maybe we can learn something from the thing that they do. So an article about diversity in theater. So what it talked about is like the example that the author used was there was a play called The War of Roses, and then the cast was 22 all white actors. So they're talking about racial diversity here. But well, I think it's not a very good example because War of the Roses happened in UK, so maybe, well, you have to cast people who are, who are the right, got the right look for the story and things like that. But the point is, because in London, the BAME population is 44%, so why is not reflecting on stage? And then also the influencer, the people who are the leaders of the theater, the art critics and also the artistic director of theaters, there's still an imbalance in there. There's still very, people dominate, like white dominated. So yeah, it's a little bit of a chicken and egg problem because, well, if you portray, different people on stage, of course you can attract different audiences, and then it could, reflect back. Then you may want to make more plays to welcome these people. For example, there is National Theatre. There was a run about Fela, which was a story, about this Nigerian singer Fela Kuti, and then the Nigerian cab drivers. Even though they are cab drivers, you won't relate to their theater goers, but they keep going to see it again and again because they feel that the story is, matches with their identity. It's talking about somebody famous in their home country, in their culture. So, so that's why I emphasize on maybe diversity in the topic could also help in diversity in gender because they feel that it's about them. It's not about something that they don't relate to. Another article by the same authors saying that, well, maybe in being accessible, being inclusive, it's not just in selling the tickets because, we need diversity in the artistic director, the leadership in the theater world. So now they have more artists of color in all these theaters in London. And also they take some accessibility measures. So for example, they don't sell fancy food in the theater restaurants. Some of them, if you go to the modern ones, they have cafes and simple bars. So it's like going to a pub that, it feels very, easy that you could spend just a little bit of money getting some snacks. And also they tend to reserve some tickets that's not too expensive. So maybe some seats that are not that nice, but they would try to make it as cheap as possible for everybody could go to the theater. Also, they try to make it for everyone. For example, British Sign Language and audio describe for people who may have special needs to enjoy the show. So PyCon UK is the only conference that I've been that have the STTR, and really thanks for the team and thanks for the effort of the organizers to make it accessible for everyone. Also, in some theater and cinema as well, they have relaxed performances, so parents could bring their kids because the lights won't be dimmed all the way. They could, if they have needs to take care of their baby or kids, they could take the time, go outside and do so. So lots of conferences now have the cash, so parents would not feel that they don't have the chance to go because of their family responsibilities. So stepping forward, are we going better? Are we going in the right direction? PyCon is already doing something years ago. They try to encourage more women to submit proposals. Again, people think that if there are more speakers that have a different, that's more diverse, and then they could talk about topics that are more diverse, they feel that they're welcome. So, so that's why they want to reach out to women and encourage them to submit proposal, because again, as helping out in the programming committee in EuroPython, it's very difficult if the amount of proposal submitted by women is less, then it's difficult to choose the best talk, out of those and to make a conference very nice and inclusive, but not sacrificing the quality of the talk. So, yeah, please, if you haven't given a talk before, do a lightning talk, and then maybe you can make it into a talk that you can submit the proposal next year. Also, PyCon already offered diversity scholarship for the people who maybe from the minority group, that they could, not be hindered by the financial situation. They could, go to more conferences. You can see that the talks by women is increasing drastically, which is good. Non-focus, as I said, there's a DISC committee, which is diversity in science, scientific computing. We volunteer for them, so there are projects that we are doing, trying to understand, for example, literature in diversity, and we are looking at the issues, and it's good that we are doing something and we are exchanging ideas. Also, it provides diversity scholarships. Again, if you want to go to PyData conference, and if you identify yourself as a minority group, you could go to go for AIDS in the diversity scholarship if you need some financial support and stuff. Jungle Girl Workshop, I coached my first time yesterday. It was lovely, and it's nice seeing people that they said they have never programmed before, and then it's the first time that they are doing something. It's very popular as well. There's translated to 12 languages, and also it's not just one organizer, but lots of organizers tell me that what will be better is that the participant of the Jungle Girl workshop this year will come back next year as a mentor, because you feel that women is not just always mentees. Women are not less better. They could also mentor other women or other people in general. Because if you got the skills, no matter who you are, no matter your identity, if you got the skills, if you have knowledge to share, you can do it. It's not because of who you are. Young coders, there's something new in PyCon UK, because yesterday they presented, and I noticed there are many young coders are actually girls. It's good, because when I grew up, when I was a girl, it's always a label saying like, oh, computer science, computer things, or physics or engineering, they're for boys, which is wrong. I think, well, everybody, if you have a talent, if you have a passion about something, you shouldn't be tagged whether you are suitable for that or not because of your identity. So in the future, I think we have to more tagging of these career and and jobs that is for a certain type of people. And so yeah, inspire the girls to, it's actually okay if you want to pursue a career in software development, software engineering. Don't be hindered because it's traditionally a guy's job. No, if you want to, you could do it. I would just summarize what I think for conferences. We have to make accessibility arrangement for people so they could feel welcome. Childcare, for example, and also diversity of topics, not just technical topics, because I know it's a conference that a lot of people are from a technical background, but well, it's not always about work. It's not about how awesome you are at work, but also, about creativity and how you use Python in different things. So having a variety of topics is actually good. And more than Jungle Girl Workshop, like, can we do something, not just for Jungle? Like, Python is for a lot of things. It's not just for building a blog. So maybe we could have a workshop similar to Jungle Girl Workshop, encouraging new users from a diversity background to start using Python, maybe data science, maybe, yeah, so have more than that. And also free the gender barrier. So we have transcode, and then yesterday the AGM said that they're removing all these like gender wordings in the Constitution, and just we have to make some change, because traditionally it's very easy to use the gender stereotype wordings or have that ideas. It's already like there for centuries. But I think now is the time to start changing it, to free the gender barrier. People should be treated as people. Simple as that. And T-shirts. It's always the problem about the T-shirt, because for some conferences they give out T-shirts, and it's not okay to just hand out one cut of T-shirt, which is mostly suitable for guys. You need to have T-shirt that shows different body types, because, well, biologically, women have different body shape. So T-shirt should be also inclusive. It shouldn't say male and female T-shirt as well, because that's gender. So maybe we should say straight cut or fitted cut T-shirt. So just to describe the T-shirt, and the T-shirt should be for everyone. Yeah, also diversity in community. We need to work more on the leadership and contributors. I always want to welcome more female contributors or gender minority people contributors to the open source projects. By doing it myself and do what I can to get more people engaged, that would be great. Also, again, the problem with R and Python, the difference, and if R can do it, Python can do it. Python, we have to encourage more academics to maybe introduce them to Python. It's actually an alternative. It's not just always, if you're a statistician, go for R. No, like, yeah, well, you may consider doing Python, because just try it to see if you like it. Reach out. Outreaching is also very important. So yeah, so this is the survey that I talk about, and so feel free to take a picture. So fill out the survey. Your opinion is important. I have to emphasize that. And I just seen that I have 5 minutes, but this is the end. This is my last slide. So yeah, feel free to ask questions. And then I know that in this conference, a question needs to be a question. But for this talk, I think I welcome discussions or voice out your opinion here if you want to. So feel free to do so. We got 10 minutes now, is it? No, 5 minutes? OK, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Cheuk, for bringing this to us. Yes, we will have some questions, and as Cheuk has kindly invited, also discussion, but perhaps we could have questions first, because maybe, and please put your hand up. We'll come round with the microphones. Vincent, perhaps you take round the second microphone. I'd like to start with one question, if I may, which is, in 5 years' time or 10 years' time, do you think the numbers on your charts will have moved in the right directions?
Yeah, I believe so. I believe it will move because, as I showed before in PyCon, you can see that by making an effort, they already changed it a lot. There's in 2017, if I remember correctly, it's already 40% of women speaking. So again, because people reflect that if the speakers can reflect them, or the topic can reflect what they're interested in, then they are more engaged. So I'm sure that by making an effort, slowly we would get to a better place. Yeah.
Just a question on how balanced the numbers need to be to feel balanced. Do you have any ideas? So in your group of 10, obviously if you're 1 out of 10, then you feel kind of different. But if you're like, it's 3 maybe, or 4 out of 10, it feels balanced, even though it's obviously 5-5 would be perfectly balanced. Do you have any numbers on what actually feels balanced? At what point does the conference feel that it's kind of inclusive?
Yeah, what I feel about the...
Do you have any numbers, or personal feelings would work as well?
You mean that I collect it as a statistical... yeah, maybe I can put that question in the survey, and then I could collect the information about... Because, yeah, I would love to see how people feel that if they're welcome, or how comfortable they feel in the conference. That's actually a good measure to see how things are, and to look at where we are on our way towards a more diversity place. Yeah.
Hi, thanks for the excellent talk. I may be wrong in this, but I think a lot of problems with gender bias in particular, and other biases start quite young and then get worse as people move through education in particular. What do you think we can do to try and encourage more young people, particularly girls and people from ethnic minorities and so on, to follow through into technical careers, computer science and maths and physics and all the other sciences, and then follow through then again into jobs where they could be doing software engineering or programming or anything like that?
Yeah, because I think, okay, doesn't matter. I think that now we are doing it. We have the young coders, so introduce coding to young people. But I think at the same time, there is another thing that one day I have in a conversation with another friend of mine, that sometimes to encourage girls or young ladies to pursue a career in science or engineering or computer science would be actually science or AI, or this is not, because a lot of movies and TV series is saying that they are for very they are not for a good thing. So a lot of young girls that they may be aspire to be a vet or be a doctor or be a teacher, because they want to show that they care about people. And then for technology fields or science fields, it's more like they feel it's more cold because it's about the truth of the world, or about how to make, create something that works to solve a problem. They don't realize that actually it's also doing good for the world, for the humanity. So yeah, maybe another way to inspire them is to say that technology is not just for showing off or build a game, or is for good of the community, for the humanity as well. So yeah, that could be a direction to go forward.
Hi, thanks for the talk, it was really good. I'm part of a women in data community where I work, and we try to do peer-to-peer learning, but one of the challenges we've had is there was a complaint made that we're discriminating against men. So a lot of the things you said were like active for women. How would you respond to those kind of criticisms that in doing like things like Django Girls, that you're maybe alienating some men as well?
Yeah, so about Jungle Girls only for women, that
kind of thing.
Yeah, I also run a meetup, AI Club for Gender Minority, and sometimes I get feedbacks from people saying, oh, do you welcome males to join your meetups? Why males are not welcome? And I think for me, it's my own opinion. It doesn't represent my co-organizers, but I think having a gender diversity meetup or event, I would love to see some, let's say if it's for women, like Pi Ladies or something like that. I want to see some males in the event as well, but we want to emphasize that this is an event that is to give a chance for gender minority or minority people, that they have certain space that they could feel that they are actually, their opinion matters, is a place that they feel supported, they are not the minority. So if we have a meetup that is, we don't kind of take some measures to make sure that the gender is more for, let's say, for women in tech or women, women meetups, that women are at a majority in that event, then that defeats the purpose of making them feel empowered and safe, and they can have a voice in that space. So I'm not saying that we should exclude all males in those events, but I think that, of course, there are some measures that because that's the purpose of those meetups, creating those spaces, to make them feel it's their space. So, yeah, for things like Jungle Girls, again, like for participants and mentors, I think we should have priorities for women or gender minority people, but it's not that we're excluding all males. If they have a good justification, if they say, oh, I'm an absolute beginner and it's difficult for me to find a workshop to learn Python, then maybe we could accept those participants, but we won't accept as many as we can, because we still have to take some measures to make those gender minority group feel that they are the majority this time.
Thank you very much for your talk. So you mentioned the passive bias. I think there's also a large element of unconscious bias in that, people not even realising that there is a thing because they've never been on the receiving end of it. How do we talk to all the people who aren't here because they don't recognise that problem?
Yeah, I do have come across people that don't realize there is a problem, and then they would be like, again, for your meetups, you're discriminating men because we are not, you don't allow us to join freely. But yeah, but I think it takes time, and that's why I'm doing it. I'm talking about it, I'm showing some statistics, I'm trying to make people realize that it's a problem, and then it's actually, maybe the next step would be why we need diversity. But I think that I assume everybody sitting here, they care about diversity, they think that diversity is good for a community to grow. Yeah, so it really takes time and a lot of patience and lots of explaining and maybe statistics to convince them that, oh, there is a problem. If we don't do anything, it's not going to improve and it's not good for the community. So, yeah.
Hi, thanks for the talk. So I thought one of the graphs you had was interesting, where it was saying that people think there's maybe more of a problem with gender diversity than racial diversity. And I feel like a lot of the conversations are often about gender diversity. Do you think it's possible that we've got some biases about that being our main problem? Like when I look around the room, I see a place which is more gender diverse than racially diverse, and yet we think there's more of a problem with gender diversity. So it's more of a question of like, do you think there's also some potential biases in the way we tackle diversity itself?
So you're talking about why gender diversity is the spotlight here rather than other diversity? Is that your question?
I guess so. I guess so. Yeah, that's the question.
Yeah, I think, of course, all kind of diversity we have to care about. It's not just saying that we only care about gender diversity. I select that topic because I am involved in it, and it's actually very easy to justify gender diversity because, again, like for non-binary people, maybe they are naturally already like not that much in the whole world population. But male and female, it doesn't make sense because it's not like in this world there are a lot of male and less female. It's more or less 50-50 in the world. So it's very obvious, I think. That's why a lot of people and groups are focusing on that. But racial diversity as well is also important. If we have a very diverse demographic in a place like London, then of course that becomes an issue, because why the diversity in population is not reflected in the diversity of certain community. But I think Python being more and more popular worldwide now. So I think in general, in a world perspective, eventually we would care about more in racial diversity when we spread like across the group. But right now, I think there's a lot of different reasons that maybe it's not that obvious of other diversity, like racial diversity, because if, for example, if you have a PyCon in Asia, like PyCon Japan, then well, obviously most attendees will be Japanese. I think we also care about them, but because gender diversity is the most obvious, the most, and also I was involved as well. So yeah, that's why I think I would choose that topic, that area to tackle first, and then I also care about other diversities. Yeah.
Thank you, Cherry. The talk was really good. I want to ask you your opinion on, since Marietta joined the Python core developers, now we have a problem in Python core developers as well, the lack of diversity. Yesterday I saw a photo. It was really difficult to count the male, but it was really easy to count the other genders, like 4. How do you think we are going to solve that problem that's in the core of maybe Python community? Or do you have any opinion?
Yeah, so for let's say the most obvious, leadership of Python community may be who is in the board of PSF, who are the C Python core developers, who they identify themselves is, and I think for Python, because in if you look at the Python website, I think there's one thing that they talk about diversity. So is the things that Python from the first day they care about. Or maybe not from the first day, because I am not that old yet to know about the early history of Python, but I think it's official that the Python community care about the diversity. So for those, the ultimate leadership of Python, I think they are making an effort to make sure that it's very diverse. They will make sure that there will be board members from different continents, from a different, background, have different identities. I think for core developers, it's a little bit harder because you also need the skills to become a core developer. So, but I think they are also making an effort, because they just had the core developer sprint in London earlier this week, and then there are mentees that will become core developers. I think they were one. Correct me if I'm wrong, but there were one female mentee, and there are also female core developers as well. So I think they are working, but it's difficult, so it takes time. So.
Hi, hello. Oh. I just wanted to add to this gentleman's question on racial diversity. How are you thinking about class diversity also in regards to allowing people from other classes, working class, et cetera, to be able to attend events or thinking about the problems and that? It feels like those would also be a major minority for events like this.
So diversity in classes, like classes as what's their background is?
Like economic, not being economically viable to be able to attend an event like this.
Technology. Sorry, I don't really catch that.
Yeah, like not being able to afford to come to PyCon.
Yeah, so financial support. I do believe that the community is giving out financial support. A lot of the conferences that I have been, actually they offer financial aid, and that's why I could afford to go to so many of them, because a lot of them are helping me. And I do believe that it's not just for gender minority. I think if you can convince the committee to give you financial support because you need it, and then you can help the community in a lot of ways, then yeah, I think they have these measures to make sure that is inclusive for people, even they have different financial backgrounds. So, yeah.
Thank you so much, Cheuk, for that. I'm sure people want to come and talk to you afterwards. Please, let's thank Cheuk once more. Now, before anyone leaves the room, I need to announce we've had some changes to our schedule. So.